Hello, this is the RPG Pundit, the final boss in Internet Shitlords, and oh my god, I did not plan to do a video today, but it's like Christmas all over again, I guess. I don't know. It's an event that has now happened every 4 years. You would think that they might learn from this, but I don't think they do. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that they don't in any way. You might recall, 8 years ago, there was a group of RPG designers that felt that they were the captains of the industry, and to be fair, back then, some of them were, who decided in the 2016 American election to set up a movement called Gamers for Her. And it was basically a whole group of game designers and company owners and writers and people who worked for official D&D and all this stuff, essentially demanding a loyalty oath of everybody else who was involved in the industry, where they would have to sign this loyalty list of people who were going to unquestioningly support Hillary Clinton for president, and you know, with all the intonations of what would be the consequences, unspoken of course, but definitely implied, for anyone who dared to disagree with their demands, you know. And it was a big deal at the time. In 2016, this was a very big deal. And it was glorious, of course, the day after Trump had won, because you had a list of everybody you should have personally gone and and laughed in the face of after Hillary's demise, right? And then they did it again in 2020, and it was a bit more low key, I'll have to admit. It was not there's not the same energy there, but again, it was basically the same thing. A whole group of the industry showing themselves off, putting themselves on a list, letting you know who are the terrible people of this industry, right? Because of course they had claimed that, you know, it was you have to be supporting the Democratic candidate. If not, you are all the things that you know that they're going to accuse you of being. You know, they're going to claim that you are a 1930s German to start with, and then beyond that, right? They want you dead, basically. And now, I just found out they've done it again. Gamers for Harris. That's the website, Gamers for Harris. And they say there, Harris Walls 2024, it's the correct play. And they say, more than 400 creators of your favorite games have a message for you this election season. Let me clarify. Almost none of the people on this list are creators of my favorite games, though some, I must sadly report, are, right, or were at some point creators of great games. And secondly, there isn't really 400 creators of great games or favorite games. There's a handful of really big names here, and then a whole bunch of industry hacks that have basically never produced anything of real great masterpiece value. And then there's a ton of people that you will never have heard of. And there's, in total, there are more than 400, right? And their message is that they support Kamala and Tim Walz for president and vice president, and they demand that you join them as Gamers for Harris. They say, get ready to laugh here, Kamala Harris is a winner. She presided over the best economy in the world. She's an ardent defender of reproductive rights. I think that's so funny, especially that one, because, you know, Kamala Harris, to be fair, that is the one consistent message in her entire platform, right? Compare her 2019 platform when she was running for president against Joe Biden before she became the VP pick, to what she has said in 2024 are her beliefs. And they're all completely different, with one exception, which is the idea of unlimited abortion, right? Absolutely unlimited abortion. That's the one thing that apparently she has some kind of a grounding on. And that's the hill she'll choose to die on. The one thing that she isn't willing to lie about or change her position on under any circumstance, which pretty much sums up everything she stands for. right? And then it says, she has battled crime, fought for the downtrodden, and supported American workers. All three of those are lies. She stands with our allies. No, she doesn't. She stands for terrorists and stands up to our enemies abroad. No, she doesn't. She has surrendered at every turn. She knows how things are done. No, she doesn't. And she gets them done. She does not. Every single thing they're saying here is a lie. And then they say, she's the one of the two things we gamers like the most. She's competitive. She's competitive, really. She's not, like, she literally never had to make in a truly competitive election in her entire life. And the one that she was, which was the 2019 primary, she was destroyed at. Right? Not ever. She wasn't competitive now. She was just in because she was the VP pick, and then the Democratic insiders just gave her all the votes. There was no competition. Nobody was allowed to question it, right? So it is absolutely not competitive. She is the least competitive person. Everything she's done, she's gotten in by either cheating or favoritism. Right? It's just insane. Or, well, because of the color of her skin and the nature of her genitals, right? All of those are true. Then they say, if we show out for her, she'll be the first female president of the United States. It's going to be a beautiful thing if Trump defeats both of the Democrats' shrews that they put forward to try to be president of the United States, as if the fact of merely being women made them qualified. Though I will be fair to Hillary Clinton. She's a horrible, horrible person. But Hillary Clinton at least clearly has a level of intellectual capacity that's about 100 times bigger, however evil, right, but 100 times bigger than Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, there's nothing going on there. She's an empty shell. She's basically a Heather, you know, like one of these, you know, she went to school in Canada, and she had this education there that basically allows her to say a lot of big words, but doesn't allow her to understand anything about anything, right? She was trained in the Laurentian elite, which are now, you know, like Justin Trudeau. He was probably he's a bit younger than her, I think, but they're very close in age. They were raised in the same kind of environment, and they produce the same people that have learned how to have a public image and actually are incompetent at everything else, right? Her first decision was to choose Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate. That's also not true. She was going to choose Josh Shapiro as her running mate, but then they realized that they couldn't get a Jew as their vice president because the Democratic Party is massively anti-Semitic, right? So then they say, Walz is the other thing we gamers like the most. He's cooperative. Well, if what you mean is that he's a disgusting lying beta male, I guess that's true, yeah. He's the guy you want in your party, maybe as cannon fodder. As governor, Walz presided over the expansion of the safety net, lifted up his constituents, and done it with charm and grace. Plus, he loves his Sega Dreamcast. Okay, all of that is a lie, again, right? Like, okay, Shapiro in Pennsylvania, I don't agree with most of what he likes, right? His politics are not my politics. But he has been very successful, and he's very popular in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, by the way, is the key state that you have to win to be president, right? Like, theoretically, if you win all the other battleground states except Pennsylvania, you could still do it. But it's like, it's the biggest plum, right? It's the richest thing. And Shapiro is popular in Pennsylvania, right? Walz, as governor of Minnesota, is not even popular in Minnesota. Everybody hates him. Okay, so he's just, there's nothing of value to him except the fact that he wasn't Jewish, and that they hope to like cater to the Hamas crowd. Yeah, and then here we go. The other guys, Trump and Vance, are what we despise. Cheaters. How in the hell are they cheaters? Okay, these are the people who are fighting. they are fighting for America, and they do not have the entire system behind them, right? The entire system is not being set up to politically persecute them, to falsely use lawfare to try to stop them, to, you know, try to encourage their assassination, any of those things, right? It's just ridiculous. He says they run on fear, rage, and denial of rights. No, that is, again, the other side. Everything, these people are projecting everything that they are to the other side. everything coming out of their mouths is horrible. They're eating the dogs. Okay, but it's horrible because that's real. Childless cat ladies, right? Okay, that is horrible because it is also another real, very big problem that has happened. You know, suspend the Constitution. They never said that. These guys are just the worst liars. Their policies are even worse. Project 2025. Project 2025 has nothing to do with Trump. Again, Trump's real. I mean, I kind of wish some of it was, right? Because some of it is actually really great, right? It would be fantastic if they embraced a lot more of Project 2025. But their actual project, what they really want to do is not too bad at all. It's just a little less social conservative and a little more focused. And I think that it is the time to focus it on destroying the deep state, right? Which is what these guys are really afraid of it. They all know that they're lying every time they mention Project 2025. It's nothing to do with Trump. But yeah, and then, he's an insurrectionist grifter who's been found liable for sexual assault, convicted of fraud, fined hundreds of millions. Yeah, by crooked Democrat judges, okay? And he's now facing years in jail. Yeah, well, good luck with that. We make games because we like competition and cooperation. We've been given 2 candidates who express these qualities beautifully. So they're demanding that you join Gamers for Harris. And now, who is on this list? I think you might want to know, right? And you can go look it up on the website yourself. You'll find it, I'm sure, if you do a search for Gamers for Harris. But let's take a look here. We've got the owner of Alderac Entertainment Group, John Zinzer. We've got James Wyatt, principal designer of Wizards of the Coast. We've got Ray Winninger, former head of D&D at Wizards of the Coast. That's not too surprising. Ray Winninger has always been a very strong liberal since like the early 90s, right? Well, I mean, it's kind of weird that he would support someone as corporatist as Kamala Harris, right? This is a guy that did RPGs where he was complaining about the military-industrial complex, about the invasion into the people's private lives, the corporatization of culture, and that's all the things that the Democrats are doing now. But there we go. Skip Williams, retired game designer, TSR, Wizards of the Coast. Sorry to hear about that, but there we are. Penny Williams, former RPGA managing editor, TSR, Wizards of the Coast. Who else have we got that's of any interest? There's a bunch of people that are not important at all. What else have we got here? We've got Jesus, there are a lot of people here that are really not qualified to be on this list. Like, they're really packing it in with mediocre people. Okay, here we go. Jason Tondro, senior designer, Wizards of the Coast. He's the guy that's in there right now, right? So these are people that work for Wizards that are telling you that you have to support Kamala Harris or else, Kat Tobin from Pelgrane Press. Who else we got here? We've got Lisa Stevens from Paizo, not a big surprise there. There's Michael Stackpole. There is Gareth Michael Skarka, no surprise there. Maybe he'll someday finish writing an RPG. There is Robert Schwalb from Schwalb Entertainment. We have, who else here? Charles Ryan from Monty Cook Games, not a big surprise either. Sean Reynolds, Monty Cook Games. We have several Pathfinder people whose names I don't actually recognize, but are probably known there. Chris Promus, ex-husband of Nicole Lindros and president of Green Ronin Publishing. Oh, Derek Pounds, the inventor of Coyote and Crow, right? That was that RPG that starts with the premise that a meteor kills all the white people in the early Middle Ages, and then that turns the Native Americans into a super civilization. You remember that one. Those are the kind of people we've got on here. Steve Peterson, CEO of Storyforce Entertainment. I don't know if that's the Peterson I'm thinking of, though. What else have we got here? Mike Myler from EN Publishing. Roger E. Moore from TSR, ex-TSR, and Wizards of the Coast. That's unfortunate. Stephen, no, that's not the same person. I'm not going to name that. Lynn Meyer from Paizo. There is, there's one here that I think is just absolutely horrific. I'll mention it when we get to it. What else have we got here? I'm scrolling through as I'm going along here, so you'll have to forgive me, as I don't want to name anybody who is so little known that they'll probably be so excited that they were even mentioned. Kevin Culp from Pelgrane Press, for example, is another one on there. There are lots and lots I'm skipping. They do have more than 400 names on here, but quite a few of them are people that most of you would have no idea. I just looked at this Jericho Johnson, game designer. For a second, I thought that was a different Johnson. That's a different J. Johnson. But I would have been really surprised by that one. All right, so here's the worst one of all, in my opinion. Steve Jackson, president of Steve Jackson Games. Right. This is a guy who in the early 1990s, he's the creator of GURPS, creator of many wonderful RPGs. The early 1990s, he was raided by the FBI in an insane police operation, law enforcement operation. He has been, for years, an opponent of the overreach of the state. He's been for years an opponent of the deep state and of the panopticon and what a threat that is. And now he's siding with the people who bribed millions of dollars to social media companies to censor for them. It's just unbelievably sad that this guy has allowed whatever derangement he has to make him become the opposite of the man he would have been in the early 90s. It's quite unfortunate. Fred Hicks from Evil Hat, that's no surprise. Troy Hewitt, Green Ronin, again, no surprise. Rob Heinsu, game designer, various. What else have we got? James Hardgrove. Heidi Gygax Garland, co-owner of Gaxland. Jeff Grubb, game designer, world builder, TSR, WotC. Shanna Germain, co-owner, Monty Cook Games. And Ajit Jord, of course, writer, co-lead, D&D's Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel, and was for a while the golden boy until Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel. It was the golden boy of WotC until Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel was the biggest flop they ever had, you know. But there we are, right? So not a surprise at all, but it is very indicative of how many of these people in Wizards are directly calling for people to be forced to make a public expression of support for Kamala Harris. Matt Forbeck. Matt Fantastic. I believe that's the guy that punched Jeremy Hambley. I wonder if he knows about this yet. Jason Durrell from Chaosium. Oh, that is a shame. Who else have we got here? We're getting near the top now. I started from the bottom. Didn't help. Ryan Dancy, Chief Operating Officer of Alderac Entertainment Group. Ryan, come on. Seriously? What a disappointment. Now, of course, some of these people might be signing just to get along, right? There are a ton of people, and I have skipped a few names here, because there are a ton of people in the so-called like industry side, the ones that work for like the medium companies at this point, or who have worked for Wizards or whatever, or who need to have good relations with other people in that region, a lot of freelancers too, that they will sign this, and this is why I say forced to, right? They will sign this list as a way to be able to keep being in the in crowd, because there will be people watching, right? The likes of, you know, Chris Promas and company, that will be saying, well, hang on, why wasn't your name on here, right? Why didn't you support Kamala, right? Those people will be there, and then that will create essentially a place where you are guilty of having failed to speak, right? Your silence was violence there. You didn't support Kamala, and those people will then become ostracized. And there are some of the people on these lists, not any of the ones I named out loud, but some of them, that I'm quite sure, and in some cases I directly know, do not in their heart of hearts feel, are not in their heart of hearts true believers in the woke, right? In wokeness, and are not followers of these kind of this like new liberal fascism, right? New leftist fascism. But they do this because they're afraid to try to break away and do something else, right? Which you could say that's still a kind of a moral failing, but nevertheless, there are people who aren't that way. So there are some of the people here that I've seen that I'm disappointed about. Another one here, David Zeb Cook. That is and I don't know. I don't know if David Zeb Cook is really meaning it or not. He probably does. I don't know. But it is sad, right? Because this is basically a loyalty oath that they are being forced to sign. But I'm sure a lot of them, the majority of them, are probably signing it willingly. You know, and that's pretty pathetic. Let's see if there's anyone. Jolly Blackburn from Kenzer. Timothy Brannon. Anyone else? Cam Banks, no surprise there. Keith Baker, also no surprise there whatsoever. Shannon Applecline, not a surprise there at all. Peter Atkinson, chairperson of the board at Gen Con. You know, Gen Con had recently done a few things that made one think that maybe they were realizing that wokeness was not paying off for them, but I couldn't be sure. And well, this isn't a good sign, that's for sure. Though right now they might still just be trying to play both sides. Who knows? One can hope. Anyway, so those are some of the biggest names on the list. I'm sure you can find more if you bother to look. It's Gamers for Her. And essentially, I think people should be gearing up to be ready to laugh at some of these people when Donald Trump gets the win again, if he does, you know. But I think the momentum is pretty good right now. So let's just hope, because it was in 2016. That was a glorious moment when I gave my personal personal condolences to several of the people on the original list. You know, so I think that they will certainly deserve it if they get what they should have coming to them. All right, so that's pretty much it for today. Again, do not go and harass any of these people or anything like that. I'm just saying that, you know, after the elections, you get to have an "I told you so" at some point, right? But absolutely do not threaten, harass, or do anything mean to these people. If you like this video, please share this video anywhere you think people find it interesting. You know, where people get pissed off by it too. Hit the like button. If this is the first time you're on here, check out my other videos. And if you like them, subscribe. And if you want to support me, check out my products. They're all OSR products. Stuff like Sword and Caravan, Medieval Adventures on the Silk Roads, which is a campaign setting that is for playing in the mythical version of the Middle East and the Silk Road during the time of the Third Crusade and just before the Mongol invasions. Heroes and Villains of the Silk Road is an incredible source book which provides you all kinds of NPC stats for actual historical characters from that period. along with their biographies, and a whole bunch of other little goodies that add to the Sword and Caravan product. It's like a history book, but also an RPG source book. Then you have stuff like World of the Last Sun, my Gonzo setting for DCC based gaming, a campaign that I've been running now for almost 12 years. And there's many, many more, and among those many more, you should check out the Pundit Files. And the Pundit Files, currently, you can only get it at the Red Room store, where you will find many of the other great Red Room products. There are 21 so far issues. The latest one is the Medieval Calendar Year. We're about to come out with another one. It might be out by the time that this comes out. So check the links to all my products are in the description below this video. Check them out. See what seems interesting to you. Pick them up. And if nothing else, check out the Pundit Files. Every single one of them, the periodical series. Number 21 is out now. They are $3.50. You can, for $3.50, you can get yourself an issue of the Pundit Files. Just find someone who will give you $3.50, and you can buy an issue of the Pundit Files. I think if it's the newest one out, the newest one is an adventure. It's called The Feast of the Circumcision, and it's a very interesting adventure. It's a Christmas adventure, actually. So whether or not it's out, it'll be out very soon. Check that out too. And yeah, thank you to everyone who watches and who picks up my products. And I don't think you'll regret it. If you want gaming that is just about gaming, although in my case it's also about, like, you know, history sometimes, and of course Gonzo weirdness some other times, then be sure to check out all my stuff. It does not have a political message. It's about having really interesting settings and systems. Like Baptism of Fire, my #1 bestseller this year. 8 weeks and a half in the OSR bestseller list. So be sure to check that out. That's everything for today. Currently smoking. This is a Lorenzetti Alpha Rhodesian plus Peterson Wild Atlantic.